All right, thank you. My first question is for Mr. Rooster. In Newfoundland and Labrador, we have an offshore oil and gas industry, and there's a lot of policies in place that's just hindering investment. It's creating uncertainty, a lot of federal policies in place, creating uncertainty in that market. And I'm just wondering, you said it's better to have a bad deal now than a good deal later. And is it because of the uncertainty? Is it better to have a bad deal now so that it creates the certainty required for investors and business owners to double down in the market?
Exactly. It's less about, for me, in terms of policy, government policy and things like that. You can work around what you know. When you don't know what the future is going to be like, it's very hard for any corporation to invest money into their businesses, right? So right now, there are a bunch of people that would be doing things. Instead, they're either closing their business or shutting them down rather than reinvesting in them, right? So
it's a matter of risk management.
It's 100% risk management.
And so in Newfoundland and Labrador, we've had decades of the fishing industry where Newfoundlanders have felt that our fishing industry has been used as a trading chip for other industries. And, does your industry feel, when it comes to the tariffs, that it's being used as a trading chip to get better tariffs for other industries within Canada?
In the last few months, with the discussion around aluminum, steel, and automobiles and lumber, and those four, the priorities sometimes seem to shift. And yes, we would love it to be that lumber is the main priority. And that was in my opening statement, that we need Canada to do that so that we do have stability and we do have an agreement, so we can make investments going forward.
Yeah, I mean, the tariffs are just a huge blindside to Canada's economy. And I remember hearing, Mark Carney doesn't care about the tariffs. And I thought, well, gee, that almost sounds out of context. And when I seen the video of Mark Carney, saying, have you had a conversation with Donald Trump? Oh, I don't care. It's not a burning issue right now, or it's not a burning issue of ours. I thought that was very, very concerning. And I'm just wondering, a lot of times the model now is, well, we don't care about tariffs to states. We want to sell to Europe and other Asian markets. Why can't you sell to Europe and other Asian markets and just divert to that?
Can't do that tomorrow. Right, number one. Secondly, those relationships take time. Number three, the world's a global economy, right? And just because there are people that buy wood in Europe doesn't mean that someone in Ontario who's, 2,000 kilometers from a coast can access that market. So, while it's true that you could develop that market over time, and actually in one of the committees I did suggest, maybe that the government of Canada helped with freight to get us to that marketplace. So, but it's not something that can happen tomorrow.
I agree with you, and we're having the same issue with a refinery in Newfoundland. They want to transition to Europe and other markets, but it takes time. And are you seeing with this new government? Are you seeing things happening faster and at speeds that we've never seen before, or is it same old, same old?
I would say that since this current administration in the U.S. has raised the taxes, or the CBD and ADD, to 35% and the 232 tariffs at 10%, there's been a greater sense of urgency on the lumber file specifically than there may have been over the past 9 years.
Well, and it's good to see that urgency. And it's like we kind of woke up one day in Canada and realized, wow, we need to be more dependent on ourselves. But on the other side of that, things weren't all that great before tariffs. And you mentioned that it's 7 times more labor intensive in your industry. And I just think of a huge tax burden that industries in Canada have on the workers and on the hourly wage and on the income tax and all those other taxes that we pay in Canada that probably doesn't happen on the other side of the border. Do you think in a way, even before the American tariffs, we are kind of tariffing our own economy with the amount of taxes that we have?
I'm never going to say that high taxes are a good thing, right? So, in any scenario.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. We had the carbon tax before. We had many years of the carbon tax. I just think every tree that came down had to have a chainsaw, a harvester, all this equipment, all that fuel to get out. That was a huge cost. We've taken that away now, but it's gone into the industrial carbon tax, which is still an added cost that Canada has that other countries doesn't have. So I just see it as we've been tariffing ourselves for years, where we could have been using that time, that last decade, to actually get ahead, to invest, have modernized equipment. And, when you're in feast, it's time to save for the famine. And we didn't do that. And I think now we're hitting the rock bottom. And,
quick, and we'll allow Mr. Rustia a response?
I was just wondering, perhaps, you mentioned the 35% retroactive duties, and you kind of wanted to elaborate on that, I think. Would you quickly be able to elaborate on that, or does it need more time?
Quick?
Yeah, so, you know, what happens is when you do these administrative reviews, I'm talking quickly, when you do the administrative reviews, they not only set the deposit rates going forward, so in August it set the deposit rates at 35% going forward, but it retroactively changed all the shipments that were done in 2023 when we shipped at 8%. So as a exporter, you have no idea what you're shipping, what your tariffs are going to be, or your duties are going to be until 2 years later. And so there's a huge burden on exporters coming if and when this deal's ever done, like triple in that year.
Good, okay.